Good morning, everyone. This is BDF44 coming at you. If you hear some sizzling in the background, it's because I am trying to fry up some veggie sausage. Morningstar is my favorite. This is not a commercial for them, but if you were trying to get away from real pork and trying to improve your lifestyle, grabbing a Morningstar to go along with your morning breakfast may be the way to go. I grew up on this stuff. I hated it when I first tasted it. I'm not going to lie to you. My mother was telling me all about it. She said it tastes like beef, and it really didn't taste like beef. But eventually, I learned to love it, and now love it a lot. So, yeah. But anyway, I didn't come here to do a commercial for sausage. I came here to do a video that came to mind from a topic that I saw online. Someone placed online the idea that those who play both sides in a situation, whether it be political or just amongst friends, and people who play both sides are usually the enemy. So I came to talk about my perspective on that. It has nothing to do with basketball. If you're here for a basketball conversation, I will be getting back to you with basketball. You know how I get down. But right now, I just want to talk about some life stuff. So I grew up in a household where it was just me and my mother, and a lot of times, since we were living in a very small apartment, whatever her conversations were, whether it be on the phone, whatever the conversation would be, I would be able to absorb just about everything. And whether I was in one part of the room or in the bathroom or whatever, it was nowhere to go. We were on top of each other, and we're going to hear whatever one another is talking about. So a lot of times, you know how it is with women, and I'm not trying to stereotype, but it just is what it is. It's going to be gossip. It's going to be conversations that are talked about that have literally nothing to do with them. Whether it be because they're giving advice, or whether it be because two friends are concerned about someone else, or what have you. My mother wasn't a messy person or anything like that. But she had conversations. She was a woman, and she liked us to vent, and she liked to allow people to vent to her, and it was all very positive, and from what I saw, it never really caused her any issues. You know, she lived her life with good friends, and her friends loved her because she was a good friend to them. So that was my understanding, that was my perspective, that was my perception of the situation. However, a lot of times in those situations, things would be said that I probably shouldn't hear, and as a result, I would know things that I probably shouldn't know. What wasn't explained to me early enough in life is how damaging information can be. Information can be passed around between individuals, and it can have effects and consequences that no one intends to have happen. You can find yourself in a situation where you learn something and you turn around and you tell someone that you trust, and then from there that information ends up in the ears, in the minds of people that information was not intended to go to, because everybody trusts somebody, and if you're willing to share what you believe or what you know with people that you trust, eventually it's going to get to someone that you don't. And a lot of times when people play both sides, particularly in the conversation we're talking about, where people are getting information and then they're not knowing what to do with that information, or they get some knowledge or some drama, what's the word, gossip, and they run off at the mouth, and then it's like a situation where the unintended consequences tend to backfire, and it makes them look a certain way. I guess what my point in all of this is to say, I don't think that statement that was posted on Facebook is complete. Sometimes people who play both sides just don't know what to do with the information given to them. They're not skilled in the ways of how not to be toxic. You know, they get some information and they blurt it out. I was that person for a very long time because of how I grew up. Hearing things, learning things, and then being very open in the household to talk about whatever it was we're talking about. And then you go outside the household, and people have secrets. People have things that they don't want to share. People have deadlines that are time sensitive or what have you, things that can't be told until that time, or shouldn't be known until some things happen, and then all of that. Those are things that have to be taught to an individual. I can't possibly think that a person is going to be as responsible with my information as they're going to be with their own, nor can I possibly think that a person is going to know what I don't want shared unless I make it clear. So with that being said, I do not believe that everyone who plays both sides or everyone who has information and doesn't know what to do with it is necessarily an enemy. They just may not be skilled in the ways of how to responsibly handle what it is that's in front of them. And that is what I came here to say. Not everybody who does you wrong is your enemy. Sometimes they just don't know how not to do whatever it is that'll harm you. Sometimes they just are not aware of how best to go about a situation. Sometimes people just need to learn how to hold water, so to speak. Now, it doesn't mean that they're on a mission to tear you down. It doesn't mean that they're on a mission to play both sides. And I understand that I may have taken the word play both sides, or the phrase play both sides, out of context, maybe put it into something that it wasn't. So let me bring it back to what it actually means. Playing both sides means to me that you are split in between two people. You're split in between two people, and you're catering to opposite opinions, or you're pretending to agree with opposite opinions depending on who you're speaking to. So let me make that very clear. I didn't want to make it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about. However, in those circumstances in my life, a lot of times playing both sides comes from someone receiving information that they're not supposed to have and then doing with it what they're not supposed to. For example, I find something out, I sheepishly go and tell somebody on the other end of it what I've learned without realizing that it wasn't meant for me to tell them that, because they are on the opposite end with different intentions than the person who initially told me the information, the person they're trying to protect. So that's playing both sides as well, and I needed to preface that so all of this will make sense. But anyway, that is what I had to say, everybody. Do well. Be responsible with other people's information as if it's your own, just like you treat other people's property as if it's your own, and you'll never have issues with the people that owns it. And you teach your kids. You know, this brings me back to that kind of thing. Teach your kids how to both be honest and responsibly hold water or keep a secret. You know, sometimes it's a tricky situation for parents. It's a tricky situation for mentors, because you want to tell a kid to be honest and you want the kid to be honest with you, but at the same time, you know that they live in a world where sometimes they're not going to be able to tell the truth about whatever it is. They're just not going to be able to. It would be nice if we can live in a world where everything is on the up and up and everybody's honest, but the reality is some of us live in situations where if we open our mouths, the worst of things come to us. And it's not fair, but it is where we are, and it is how it goes for a lot of people. And some people don't do well in those circumstances. Some people don't do well when they're asked to make up their mind between two people. It ain't easy standing between two people that you care about, or two people that you're fond of, or what have you, two people that you have interest invested in, and they're at odds with one another. So how about this? If you are one of those people, try to keep from bringing people in between you that are invested in both of y'all. People who care about both of y'all. If I'm on this end, my boy Joe is on the other end, I'm not going to bring my boy T into this situation and say, hey, T, what do you think? Because T doesn't want to have to choose between the two of us. And if he has to play both sides, I'm not going to look at him as the enemy, because we put him in an impossible situation. So let that be understood as well. If you have that going on, and you put your friends in those situations, then you get what you get. You know, that's just the reality of it. Sometimes people are just not going to do what you want them to do. You may get your feelings hurt. Find out the person's not going to be on your side, and that can be frustrating as well. So that's what I wanted to say. Just a little life conversation. I'll get back to the basketball stuff as I see fit. It's a lot to talk about, so it's coming. But anytime I have a conversation in mind, or something that sparks my mind and I just want to speak about it, that's exactly what I think I'll do. And doesn't necessarily mean I know what I'm talking about. It just means that I think it's important for me to spew whatever's on my mind into the world. And hopefully you guys can make some sense of it as you see it to be. So anyway, that's all I got to say, y'all. BDF 44 coming at you. Be careful with what you say, and try not to play both sides if you can. Learn that it's a skill to maneuver with people's information, and above all else, honesty in situations that are not safe can be very, very, very toxic. So try not to walk into a room that you can't walk out of, so to speak. That's what I'll leave it at. Take care, everybody. Peace.